We are here this morning, afternoon. I don't even know what day it is. Honestly, I had to what day it was. um, and the reason is that I write stuff on Facebook that people don't like, and uh, and then they go after me when I go out to uh, to the grocery store because they want to know everything. You know what I mean? Anyway, this is this is I like this meme. Okay. Breaking. Florida is shutting down specialized taxpayer-funded Islamic prayer facilities. Wait, inside Orlando International Airport. Thank you. Was there one? Why? I'm going to read that again. Florida is shutting down specialized taxpayer-funded Islamic prayer facilities inside Orlando International Airport. After an investigation, the Attorney General confirmed the state ordered the closure of the gender separated prayer rooms that included ablution areas, Qibla, the Lord rebuke it, and other features tailored specifically for Muslim worship. Where was that? It was built with public funds. No. Wow. Uh, that the specific rooms in questions had been removed, while noting it will continue to offer a general interfaith chapel for travelers of all faiths. Interfaith chapel. See, that's where we're still missing the point, guys. That's where we're still not getting what God wants us to do. And it's sad because then we tell other people that we know what we're doing, that we know where we're going, that we know where we're walking, that that our faith is deeply ingrained in truth and in the way. But if we don't know that that chapel has to say we worship Jesus in here. If you want to, you're welcome to come in. That's it. You don't have to apologize for Christ in this country. He gave you this country. You don't have to apologize for Adonai in this country. The Muslim that comes in needs to apologize for his worship of Allah. Yes. I don't care what the Church says. Catholic Church is not right. They don't know Jesus anymore. They don't. I'm surprised that Jesus even goes there. I mean, it's because he knows that there are people there with faith in him and in the Father and with true hearts of worship that he even goes in there still. It's not because of your traditions that you have turned into commandment. Of course not. Anyway, I'm so mad, guys. Okay, but here's what we're doing today. We are talking about a very important subject. Especially, I am teaming up with Bethlehem today. You're probably not going to hear her, but most definitely, we're teaming up to do a little uh, National Guardian Project work where we talk about targeted persons. I don't like using that term. Targeted individuals are really victims of terrorism. Um, and I say that with all the truth in my heart because I've spoken to other targets, I've met other targets. That is true. In the last 7 years, since I realized I was a target, because I became a target before that, I suspect that I became a target in Puerto Rico, but I think they had not caught me yet. Um, they caught me in Orlando. Um, they tried in Colorado, but they caught me in Orlando. Um, and that's the best of my story. The end. Now, now we're teaming up today with the National Guardian Project to bring you what to do when your perpetrators are military. This is a very serious speech. Uh, you're going to hear historical cases, and you're going to, we're going to be talking about this in a very serious note, of course, with a little, I'm going to say, media style. But stay tuned because this is important. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and dive into this topic. And this is a topic that makes people sweat, that it makes people suddenly remember they left something in the car and start whispering and leave the room, because we're going to talk about what to do when your perpetrators are military, when you're a targeted person, a victim of terrorism, of trafficking, and you're being groomed by a schemer, and these people are military, and you don't know quite what to do with that because you are not. You're not trained in military. You're not trained in how to use a gun. You're not even trained in how to leave your toilet without without having to ask somebody to help you, pull yourself up out of the chair. Yes, I'm talking about elderly people. Um, it's just a funny joke about something happened today. Anyway, yes, we're going to talk about when the bad guys are the uniform, and we have to talk about it in. I talk about it with a lot of pain because this is a sacred cloth to the United States of America specifically. We are the greatest. We are called the greatest army in the world, the greatest. And we are the army that when other countries are in trouble, they immediately look at us and say, "Yo, you pass me your wallet. I need your credit card for about 3 million." And it's it's all usually it's a trillion, not 3 million, but 3 million, 3 million gets you like a week in I don't know, in toothpaste or something. So this is like a sacred subject to the US. It's supposedly transforms ordinary human beings into heroes, be all you can be and everything, and occasionally, what happens, unfortunately, is that this office turns people into untouchable villains with a gym membership and a government ID. Um, and people think that this is complicated, Uh, but really, we need to stop pretending about that. We have to start talking about what's really happening here, and why the military aren't quite as untouchable as you think. Um, I pray that the Lord will give us as much information from His end as He would during this talk. I think it's really important for us to talk about this because in my situation and in my experience, I was perpetrated not just by the layman but also by military men, ex-military veterans, actual veterans, because not all ex-mil are veterans. I don't know if you know that, but military have a 4-year contract, for example, and if they don't want to renew it, they just go and work on something else. The military is a job, like any other job. You get benefits. You get you go work 8 hours a day. You get trainings, and you get a uniform. The difference is that your commander in chief or your boss is the president of the United States. Your benefits are better than anybody else's. You actually get your own department store to shop at, away from the hustle and bustle of Walmart. So imagine the Black Fridays in there. You know what I mean? Yes, things are cheaper in there than they are outside. You get really nice discounts on liquor too. Um, well, what else? Yes, I'm talking about Manischewitz. Why wouldn't I? I'm a Jew. We're not drunks here. The Bible only ever talks about a couple of people getting drunk, I think, in the Bible, in the whole Bible. So please give us a break. Anyway, so when you get to be a victim of a military person, whether it's domestic abuse, child abuse, interpersonal abuse, not not intimate really related, dating abuse, Ritual abuse, because that also exists. That is my story, as a matter of fact. The people who are perpetrating me, they are military, ex-mil veterans, and they are ritual abusers. They also do some other stuff. And because they're military, they think that they are untouchable. This is the folklore behind it. You can't report them. The military protects their own. They'll bury the case. You'll never win. And this is also the story for government. And sure, the military has swept so much under the rug that the rug is now a small hill visible from space. But here's the truth: military personnel are not above the law, not civilian law, not federal law, not military law, not international law. And let me explain something to you: military law doesn't go everywhere, it just stays in military. So, they are accountable if you know where to push. And the first place to push is 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 at the courts, because they are still citizens and liable to the same the same laws that you need to follow. They've got to follow them. Okay. um Here's the reality check: you're fighting a system. When your perpetrator is military, you're not fighting a person, you're fighting a bureaucratic hydra with acronyms for heads, maybe even up to eight. But I'm only going to mention four: CID, NCIS, OSI, CGIS. They all have one thing in common: they hate being caught covering up crimes. Use that. By the way, we have a whole bunch of people out in Florida who are targets today, a whole bunch. And there, the targeting is increasing by the minute. And I don't want to say that the targeting fully increased when Donald Trump came to office, because maybe it started with Obama. Maybe. And the reason I think that is that things started to get a little spooky around Obama time for a lot of people. For me, it was like time was changing, not physical time, prophetic time. And I started noticing that when I started dating a guy who was a Christian. And then I began noticing that a little bit further on, when I wasn't dating that guy anymore and I was being a bit of a hoe. I'm going to say it that way. This is not for children. I did tell YouTube that I hope that no children try to come here. So when I was a whore, when I was a prostitute, um, and that's what the Lord called me. So I'm gonna call myself that. What? Uh, the I was talking to a guy from middle school. I used to like. Um, I'm not gonna mention his name because he's well known in Puerto Rico, so I'm not gonna bring his name up. Um, and I don't want to bring his family trouble. Uh, they're they're good people. They're I believe they're righteous people. They're not, and they're public figures. I don't want to mess with that. So but this guy, I had a huge crush on him in middle school, and we were still acquainted on Facebook, and I started talking to him on Messenger, and we were flirting, but I was conscious that he was married. Um, so so he kept like flirting with me, and I was like, oh, you're not ever going to do anything, you're married. And I wasn't really planning on doing anything either, but I kind of brought that up. I was like, why are you flirting with me if you're married? How are you going to find the time to cheat on your wife? You've got a job, you have to go home afterwards. And he's like, it's all a question about the time. And when he said that word, something sounded different to me. Something sounded different to me, like God was talking, but not. how do I explain? Not like God was talking, but like what he was saying had something to do with biblical timing. And that was somewhere around 2011. Now I had just sort of broken up with somebody that who was very very important to me. And yeah, well, it ran that way. It ran that way. Um, it's funny how God operates. But anyway, it was almost like the devil knew that he didn't that the timing for him was short, and that he had to play this really well so that I could go to hell. That's what I think that I was catching on. But unfortunately, I didn't listen. Anyway, I'm not saying I'm going to hell. I'm saying that I didn't listen to the warning, and it was a warning. Okay. He didn't say it. He probably didn't mean it that way. And if he did, I wouldn't know. But much later on, many years later, he became part of my perpetration in a different way, in a way that I even had many dreams about him, and about a friend of his, who also hit on me during those days. And it seemed like they were like kind of like vying for my attention, or there was some sort of bet behind it. I'm not sure. I've got I've got a feeling that there was some sort of scheme taking place back then that they did not catch me on, and I did get caught when I got to Orlando because I cheated. I'm not gonna keep going. Okay. Because what I'm talking about is the military, right? And that guy was not military. Let's keep going. So uh so here's the step by step. What you do. Number one, you report to civilian authorities first. Civilian police don't care about rank ribbons or how many push-ups someone can do. They care about crime. Once you report, if you've got angels in front of you, because unfortunately, because of things that are changing, well, because of things, uh, there's a lot of good cop, bad cop going on out there. And I'm not talking about metaphorical cops or people who think they're cops. I'm talking about real policemen. Once you report, civilian law enforcement is legally required to notify military investigators if the suspect is active duty. I renounce the beast. I'm not here for the beast. I'm looking for the angels. I'm a Christian. I don't worship the devil. I don't know how many times I have to tell you that. No, I don't worship the Buddha. I don't worship the Hindu gods. Neither does that woman either. I was just watching this video. Uh, a very beautiful soul who looked just like me when I was able to go out to the MCO park, and I used to put on my I used to call it my wedding dress. It was my what do you call it? It was my praise dress from church. I used it for dancing at church in activities, when I was at the synagogue, and I made that when I purchased the dress. I looked at it, and there was like I saw like this vision of it being like rimmed on the bottom with blood, and it was like the blood of the martyrs, and uh, it was something like that. And anyway, I called it my wedding dress on purpose, not because of that vision. So yeah, uh, and I used to put on that dress and go to the MCO airport park down on Hazeltine, and I would dance and praise dance to the Lord there at the gazebo, like out in the open. That's a park where people go and they throw frisbees, and I used to dance there all like for hours, hours and hours. I would take my phone, I would put the music on, and it didn't matter how many people came in. I was praising, and I I was praying, and I would sometimes, all the visions that the devil gave me were really bad. I got really connected there to the Lord and to angels, but then it got bad too, because it's a spiritual battle I'm going through, and it's against the dragon himself. The Lord rebuke him. I know what I've seen. I know what I'm going through. People think that I'm nuts, but I just saw this beautiful soul who was doing exactly the same thing that I used to do, um, and she had a she was praising the Lord the same way as me. And then anyway, uh, let me not keep skipping this because this is really important. Let's stop talking about me. So once you report, like I said, civilian law enforcement is legally required to to call military investigation offices, like the DoD, for example, especially if the suspect is active duty. They have to do that. So you just open the door. So report to the military strategically. You don't have to walk onto a base and say, "Hey, I'd like to report a predator." You use channels: CID, NCIS, OSI, DOD, like I said, Inspector General, Family Advocacy Program. What? That exists? Oh, it's within the military. I'm sorry, guys. The National Guardian Project has family advocacy too. But it's for the general public. Anyway, SAPR, uh, they will blink at you like confused owls. They'll say things like, "Are you sure? That doesn't sound like him. We'll look into it." My friend, smile. Because once you file the report, they're legally obligated to investigate it, even if they investigate at the speed of a sloth on NyQuil. Now, document everything, okay? Military cases live and die by documentation. I'm talking screenshots, dates, times, witnesses, threats, patterns, messages, photos, videos. If you have it, save it. If you don't have it, start collecting it. If they try to intimidate you, write that down too. Documentation is your armor. What I did was actually not my best suit. I documented it all to the FBI. So they either have all my tips in a dossier with my name on it, with a really big question mark on, especially with the word Greenland on it. And well, anyway, step number 4: apply external pressure. The military hates media attention, congressional inquiries, ID complaints, and anything that makes them look bad. If your case is ignored, escalate. Congress, senators, the DO, again, FBI. I don't really work with the FBI right now, but VA, OIG, if they're veteran, pressure makes systems move. And then protect yourself emotionally and legally. Here's the thing about military perpetrators: they have been taught to play on your psychology. So they rely on intimidation, silence, shame, and fear of retaliation. So the way that you're going to counter is with advocacy groups, especially ones that have a pack a really good legal punch, legal aid, especially really like civil rights movement, impassioned uh, uh, lawyers, victim services, and yes, mental health support, because you are any kind of victim, and any kind of victim can be hit in different ways. What they're doing to me, God is the one holding me up. I am, and He will bear you up on eagle's wings. and He will put angels around you so that you don't cast your foot on a stone. Now, let me tell you something. I'm going through a lot of pain, a lot. And so are people around me. And I have asked the Lord to make them pay for it monetarily, emotionally, physically, any way that they can. Well, the Lord gave me promises. I'm going to talk about that right now. But it's true that the Lord takes vengeance on those who hurt his children. I was talking about that yesterday, wasn't it? I was talking about little children, but God also calls those who love him, who worship him, who want to be saved, and who try their best, his children, the apple of his eye. Yeshurun. Guys, he calls you a bride, you know? What's the thing that you have to care for the most in life? Besides your health and your spiritual life with God, what does God provide you with that you need to care for the most in life? Your children and your wife, or your spouse. That's what you have to take care of the most in life. You can be without a house, you can be without a car, you can be without a job, but if you have children and a spouse, you still have to take care of them because you're not going to leave them because you don't have other stuff. You are responsible for these people, just like they bear certain responsibilities to you. So yeah. Anyway, in my perspective, a mental health is different for every kind of victim. In my case, I need more spiritual assistance, uh, and fighting spiritually is what's keeping me well. You know, understanding, knowing things, and God stays by my side because He's gracious. um, so, in other words, you don't fight this alone. You fight smart. I report all of my perpetrators all the time, all of them, all of them. I've reported them to law enforcement. I've reported them uh, to military offices. I've reported them to um, I've reported them to uh, agencies like the FBI. Uh, I've reported them even to the White House. Um, then I've done so in what I thought was the best strategic way I could, which was, this is what I know. I need you to do something with that because it's urgent. Um, and it's not just about me. My perpetration is, I'm not the only victim. So, as many people as are being perpetrated on my end, um, they could be holding, somebody could be holding them, uh, somebody who could be holding other people to, um, anyway, other people are doing a lot worse than I am. Especially because the kind of perpetration I'm going through works on the basis of making people lose their no their personal identity. Ugh. No. That's what they're trying to do. That's what my ex Juan Ramos was trying to do, um, and other people. Ugh. And well, I'm part of this list apparently, where there are other targets. Ugh. And these same perpetrators, they take your information online, and they try to hurt other people in your family, other people in your circles. They take your contact lists. Uh, they monitor your address, and Anyway, whole bunch of different things, and they do it in different ways: physically, electronically, and uh, and spiritually. Um, so let's talk a little bit uh, about being smart. Okay, um, all of this information I'm giving you is so that you can protect yourself. Now there is a historical reality here, uh, based on military terrorists, traffickers, and criminals, and I want to give you a few minutes of this, so that we can stop pretending that military perpetrators don't exist, um, that they don't require as much. Um, you know, surveillance as other people. You want to know something really funny? The truth is that within the scope of a military environment, I have found more protection, uh, like like more that I trust that I trust what's going on in there, that they're trying to really protect people, because when I call the police, sometimes I wonder what's going to happen with that, and nobody's going to look further into what I'm saying. They're just going to give me a report number and that's it. If I get killed, then they'll do something. And I'm not kidding about this. I got somebody coming all the way to my door last year, and they infiltrated my house. I didn't press charges because I was trying to give the guy a chance, but then he kept coming back, and he was living there illegally in that complex, and and so and so the police told me he was leaving gifts in front of my door, and they were creepy gifts. They were things that were unasked for. He was a guy who said that he wasn't interested in me, but all the gifts that he left were sort of romantic gifts, roses and like leotard. He left me a leotard, like a white leotard, and a Taylor Swift record. It was pretty creepy, and I still have that video of that here somewhere. And so so the cops told me that they couldn't trespass him or say anything to him, because or try to arrest him, because the area where he was leaving the gifts was part of the rest of the complex, not part of the area that I paid for. So it's you wonder about how really well protected we are. I think that a person's living environment, no matter where you live, should have like uh, a wider range so that you can be more protected. Anyway, um, uh, FBI has never called me. I think that the one time that they try to contact me, they might have gone to a place where I no longer assist. Um, and I think that they go there. They went there looking for me, maybe to ask questions. Um, they said that it had something to do with my mother, but I was also told that they were dressed in suits. They were not dressed in uh, uh, in police gear, so they were probably investigators. They were probably uh, detectives. So there was more than one person. I don't know why more than one person, but so maybe they were investigators from the police, or maybe they were FBI. I'm not sure. The fact is that I've given them my number many times after that, and no one's ever called me. And well, the information that I've given them is very serious. So anyway, uh, so history here has receipts. All right. We got Timothy McVeigh, uh, U.S. Army domestic terrorist. He used military He used military training to bomb a federal building. Apparently, protect and serve meant protect explosives and serve them to Oklahoma. Shout out to my people in Oklahoma. Uh, Pastor Mike Todd and my family. Um, Terry Nichols, U.S. Army, domestic terrorist. McVeigh's partner. Two veterans, one truck, and suddenly America learns why fertilizer should never be trusted. Jose Padilla, U.S. Army, convicted terrorist. Left the Army and decided it wasn't extreme enough. Stephen D. Green, U.S. Army, war crimes, murder. Proof that some people should never be trusted with a uniform, a weapon, or even a stapler. Cad Pendleton Marines, human smuggling ring. I think that that's what I'm a victim of. I think that it's a very big thing, uh, but I think it also has to do with other stuff like MK Ultra. But we can talk about that later. Fort Hood, no, smuggling ring. Uh, yeah, Camp Pendleton, because nothing says Semper Fi like trafficking migrants for cash. Fort Hood, a graveyard of unresolved cases. Assault, trafficking allegations, disappearances. Cases closed so fast you'd think they were trying to win a speed running competition. International examples? Well, we've got Colombian paramilitaries joining cartels and Mexican ex military forming Los Zetas, Balkan fighters entering trafficking networks. So apparently, elite training can be repurposed into elite criminal entrepreneurship. And there were also cases closed without closure. Military justice has a long history of mishandled investigations, underreported sexual offenses, quietly closed cases, jurisdictional confusion, victims left without answers. This is why reporting matters. This is why documentation matters. This is why pressure matters. More importantly, this is why you believe victims. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about something a little different than that: identity manipulation. Why Brazilians have naming conventions that are weird. Have you ever met a Brazilian and asked them their full name? Yeah? No? Okay. Well, my name is Carolyn M. Berrios, right? Carolyn M. Berrios. I'm not afraid to say that because I've given all of my information to the FBI. So if you're trying to perpetrate me and they're watching and they decide to do something about you, well, FBI is going to be knocking in your door, I don't know, next 5 minutes or so, because there are cops all around here. All right. So, see, that's another thing. You can't be afraid of these guys, no matter what they think they're doing, because there are more cops and military angels out there and neighbors who love you and who know what's going on in your house and who might be taking care of you than that one person in their house, doing witchcraft spells on you with, like, I don't know, three or four machines inside their house where they're monitoring children and putting them, doing AI images of them to put them on websites so that they can be, sold or something. I don't know. I don't know what they do. Um, I don't know what the end of what's being done to me is, except for population control, uh, and population control, unfortunate child abuse, but possibly also child trafficking. And I'm going to try to stop that as much as I can. And I know that a lot of people are saying that you're going to go to my family tells me you're going to go to jail if you keep on reporting people. Well, it's not untrue. I'm not reporting lies. I'm reporting truth. So somebody's got to catch these guys at some point. It's got to happen because God told me he was not going to tolerate terrorism. and I believe him. So, um, he also said that a whole bunch of people are going to die because of this, but uh, I don't want to talk about that. Let's go back into here. So, if you've never asked a Brazilian their full name, do just out of fun, especially one who married into a white family or an American family, a Native American, not Native American, but a person who was born in the U.S. Uh, and let's talk about identity in this sense, because perpetrators love manipulating it. And bonus, my perpetrators, some of them are Brazilian. So let's go ahead and check it out. Brazilian citizens traditionally use two surnames, mother and father, right? But when interacting with U.S. immigration, European systems, international job markers, many began using the second name as a middle name to blend in. Why? Because foreign systems kept misreading names, reordering names, losing documents, or assuming the second surname was a middle name. So Brazilians adapted. Because nothing says global citizen like rearranging your name so airport security doesn't have an existential crisis. Um, so that's basically the it on why Brazilian naming conventions are a little different. What I mean is, for example, my name is Carolyn M. Berrios, right? My other last name, let's say it's Martinez or something like that. Um, and let's or let's use something closer to home, Reyes. Carolyn and Berrios Reyes, right? And I'm going to come into the United States of America, right? And what happens is that I take that Reyes part and I put it as my middle name, you know, and there you go, identity manipulation, really easy. um, I think that some of them do it now on purpose because the systems in America have adapted. So when they meet someone from Brazil, they immediately might think, this is a person who's using their mother's maiden name as their middle name because Brazil. But I think some of them are doing it on purpose, uh, to have aliases and do things they're not supposed to be doing. So, in closing, what do you do when your perpetrators are military? You don't stay silent. You don't go scared. You don't go confused. You don't isolate or stay isolated. And if you are confused, don't stay confused. And if you are scared, don't stay scared. Okay? Report, document, escalate, advocate, and refuse to be intimidated by a uniform, any plague, anyone. Just, if you didn't do anything wrong, why should you be? Why should you feel afraid? You shouldn't. Because the truth is simple. And a uniform does not erase a crime. A rank does not erase a victim. And a system does not erase your voice. Sometimes the nation needs protection from the people who claim to protect it. One person who can tell you that is Jimmy Hoffa, but unfortunately we can't ask him. Or John F. Kennedy, or Martin Luther King Jr. And I'm just naming a few people. Because, John the Baptist could also talk, but he lived in Roman times and in Israel. So he might, he tells another story, even after death. Kind of fun. I thank you so much for listening. I hope that this has helped, even just a little bit. Um, we will talk later about uh, hopefully better things, but also educative things. Because if there's something that a writer needs to do across their life, is try to educate others about things. Douglas Adams educated people about how not to be silly with their humanity, and how to laugh. Um, Isaac Asimov, he taught people uh, more or less the same thing, but with a little bit more drama. Um, and and while people like me, we teach people uh, how to love God, within the context of their very real lives, where if things are not easy, um, you go through things like, you know, being cheated on, becoming bored with your job, or being, very poor and a humble jibarito. So, or even being a real prostitute. So, so I thank you guys for sticking around. We are still working on a lot of stories. We're working on our first devotional. We have so much on the plate, and we're also working with the National Guardian Project to help people as best we can. We also have another project in the works, which might be a one once in a month kind of thing. Uh, and I hope it's going to work out. I don't know. It seemed like God was happy with it, uh, so maybe it'll pan out. Uh, I might involve children in it in a uh, very special way. So maybe we can even have law enforcement watches during those days. Who knows? Um, it's all in the works. Um, Thank you, and have a very blessed rest of your Sunday. For all those of you who are worshiping on a Sunday, um, it's okay to worship on Sunday, but it's better even to take a day of rest on Saturday. Actually, you're commanded. So worship on Sunday definitely, but take your day of rest. That's it. That's it. I'm not gonna keep going. Not for now. Maybe later. Maybe in an hour. Shalom, shalom.